You know, what happens when a doctor, someone who's sworn to heal, becomes the one actually causing the harm? We're going to dive into a case where ambition completely twisted the Hippocratic Oath, and it all led to a truly staggering multi-million-dollar deception. Yeah, $14 million. I mean, just let that number sink in. That's the price tag on a massive, massive betrayal of trust. An Atlanta-based doctor ended up agreeing to the settlement after being accused of defrauding not only the government, but the very patients he was supposed to be taking care of. So you might be asking yourself, how on earth does a respected doctor get hit with a $14 million bill? Well, this wasn't just some simple mistake, a billing error. Oh no, this was a calculated years-long scheme. So let's break down exactly how he pulled it off. Okay, so our story really centers on this guy, Dr. Jitesh Patel, and his clinic in Atlanta called Advanced Urology. Now, on the surface, everything looked totally legitimate, a normal medical practice. But behind the scenes, he was accused of orchestrating a huge fraud against federal healthcare programs. And when the Department of Justice started digging into the clinic's finances, it's not like they just found a few billing errors here and there. Nope. What they actually uncovered was this incredibly sophisticated three-part strategy basically designed to squeeze every single possible dollar out of the system. So the whole fraud, it really boiled down to three pretty devastating tactics. First, he was performing procedures on patients that they just didn't need. Second, he was inflating the bills for the services that he did provide. And third, and this one's wild, he was billing for phantom services. I mean, treatments that never even happened at all. Not talking about some minor overcharges here. The allegations, they paint a picture of a really systematic practice. I mean, just try to imagine this. Permanent devices being implanted in people without any real proof they would even help. We're talking thousands of medically unnecessary ultrasounds. He even allegedly used this rare invasive test on pretty much every single new patient, mostly just to pad the bill. So here's the thing. This went way beyond just betraying individual patients. This was a direct scheme to defraud programs that you and I, as taxpayers, fund. Money was literally being siphoned from Medicare and Medicaid, the very programs that are designed to protect our most vulnerable. So the big question is, right, how does a scheme this elaborate finally fall apart? It's hardly ever a random audit that brings something like this to light. Usually, the call comes from inside the house, so to speak. Well, it turns out this entire case blew wide open because two people on the inside saw exactly what was happening, and they made the incredibly difficult decision to speak out. They just refused to stay silent. And these first reports came from two really different perspectives, which is what makes it so interesting. One was a former employee at the clinic, someone who had seen all the practices from the inside. The other, a fellow physician, a colleague who actually worked right alongside Dr. Patel. So their whistleblower complaints, that's what set the wheels of justice in motion. That's what triggered a full-scale investigation by the Department of Justice. And that investigation is what ultimately uncovered the true, just staggering scale of this whole fraud. Okay, so after that investigation, the case finally came to an end with a pretty significant settlement. And it wasn't just about punishing Dr. Patel. It was also about rewarding the two people who basically risked their careers to bring the truth to light. So for their absolutely critical role in exposing all of this, the whistleblowers were awarded a really substantial sum from that total settlement. We're talking a reward of nearly $3 million. And get this, that nearly $3 million reward, it wasn't split between them. Nope, they each received that amount. I mean, that's a powerful statement about just how vital whistleblowers are when it comes to uncovering this kind of deep-seated corruption. But hold on, there's one last really fascinating twist to this whole story. Because to fully grasp the depth of this betrayal, we actually have to go all the way back to the beginning. And what we find there, well, it makes the outcome even more shocking. I mean, just look at this timeline. The contrast is just jarring. Back in 2011, Dr. Patel launches his clinic with this grand vision, providing state-of-the-art patient care. And then not even a decade later, that entire vision has just crumbled into a multi-million-dollar fraud settlement. And I want you to listen to this. This is a direct quote from a promotional video Dr. Patel put out when he first opened his clinic. He promised, quote, state-of-the-art service and a complete focus on patient care, satisfaction. A promise that now seems, well, completely disconnected from what he was actually doing. So it just leaves you with this haunting question, doesn't it? This whole story is such a stark reminder of that incredibly fragile line between ambition and ethics. What is it that pushes someone from being a promising healer to committing multi-million-dollar fraud? And maybe more importantly, how many more are out there crossing that exact same line?